Hello, hello, hello. Happy Tuesday to everybody. Can you all hear me? Please do me a favor and put a one in the chat to let me know that you can hear. Okay, thank you, Vaughn. Again, happy Tuesday to everybody. I hope everybody's having a great day so far. Thank you, Janice. So, I have the link pinned in the chat for anybody who wants to join the panel. Hey, sis, Charlie's Angel. Happy Tuesday. So I have the link pinned in the chat, y'all. I'm going to go over who is in the chat so far. And I want to welcome everybody who's watching from the bushes. But can you all do me a favor and make sure that we have at least two men on the panel? Because I want to hear from men about this issue since it involves them. So the question is, are our men still suffering in silence? So for now, I see Joe, Shanice, Tina, Janice, Vaughn, Beautiful Senna, Real, and Charlie's Angel in the chat. So again, can you make sure that you reach out to some men, and also the link is pinned in the chat. Shanice, do you have anything to say before we get started?
Hello, Mama Alice. Hello, everyone in the chat and in the bushes. Happy Tuesday. Y'all know I love talk about a Tuesday, so I'm up in here. Good evening. Um, Please make sure y'all hit that thumbs up button. We streaming vertically and horizontally. Just show the vertical chat some love. Appreciate it so much. Real, you are so hilarious with all these colorful names in the chat. I see you. Do you see what he's saying?
I saw it.
He is something else. I made sure to put all the comments up. Hey, everybody. Um, Mama Alice, I don't know if you could reach out to Irvin, but I really think did this man call me sweet and sour? Oh no, you didn't. You could have called me sweet as sugar. Sweet and sour ain't nothing sour about me.
Don't get
You
sidetracked.
well, he did that. That's a distraction. You see, that's the trick of
Don't
the
get
enemy.
sidetracked.
See what happened when you give somebody a compliment, they go overboard. Anti-hoos. Yeah,
Yeah,
Urban.
I have no way of reaching out to Urban. Um,
Dang, I would have sent him
so
$1 on the cash app. He probably would have passed out and said, "Let me run in here. She want to have a debate."
I, Larry is not here, and
Yeah.
SBK is probably working. I don't know where my son-in-law is, but
Mm.
for now, real, since you are the only man here so far, you can hit the link, and any woman who wants to hit the link can. I'm not saying that, okay, Tina, drive safely. I'm not saying that women can't be on a panel, not at all, because I think it should be a conversation between men and women. But I definitely want to make sure that we have some men here.
Yeah.
Vonna, Vonna, she ain't right. She's talking about KJ can come up.
Right. Come on. Yes. Oh, good. Shout out to you, Sin. And she said she sent out a call to Urban. Oh, this gonna be interesting. Oh, yes. And Okay, real said it better not be no men watching the background and not hopping in. Well, maybe they got things to do. But we glad to see you up in here. And so wait a minute. Why Joe, why do you say well, honey? You agree with real that I'm sweet and sour.
Hey, I said what I said.
Uh-huh. Hey, I said what I said.
Happy Tuesday, sis.
Yeah, of course SBK is working, Joe. Yes, get money. Okay, sorry. Let me act right. But
Yeah,
yes, we would love to
like
have all of the men
act
on. Huh?
right, because you can't get me.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
I know you will mute me in a New York minute. Mm-hmm. Andy and Will. Come on here with this name. You know
Hey,
what?
Will.
Don't make me change mine today. I will do it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God. You can't do it better than me. Yes. Mm-hmm. And uh-huh.
Mm-hmm. I'm gonna
Oh,
do
you
it like
been
one of them.
practicing.
I'm
Oh,
gonna
you
do it
been
like one of them
practicing.
them church ladies that got the arms and the hat and the mm-hmm.
Oh, yes, with the little neck roll. Come on here. Give it all to us around here. Give it all to us. Look, Joe said, hi, I knew Shanice would catch that. Oh, yes, I did. Absolutely. I told you I don't miss it at all. Yes. Hello, I said what I said. Vaughn, you sure cracking up. Why you didn't hit the link?
I didn't say what I say. What's going on?
Santa, what are you doing? Because I know that you said you wanted to join the panel.
Yeah,
So if you can
hop on
join the
up here.
panel,
I mean,
yeah.
otherwise I can handle this all by myself, but I would like to have
Um,
others' input.
Oh,
yeah,
sweet Jesus. Listen, y'all
we
come
really
on
would
here, hit
like some
that link.
more. We would like some more masculinity on the panel.
What?
So
Absolutely.
yes.
Oh yeah, because I
You
guess to
know,
some
Real
people,
got his muscles and all of that now, but we need some more. We need some more men up here too.
because I know
Can
to some
anybody
people
reach
I ain't
out to
that.
Mookie? Hold up, real. Can anybody reach out to Mookie or any other man that is sometimes here?
Come on, Stash. If you inside the background, come on
Vaughn,
out.
how long you been married, Vaughn? You don't know anything about men? Is Jim at work? Because he would probably be a good man to be on the panel. I would love to
Oh
hear what
yes,
Jim has
this
to
his
say.
day to vent and go forth. Come on, Jim.
Okay, Senna. Joe, you want to join the panel?
What I said, X. Oh, here we
What I
go.
said. Come on
Yes.
up, sis. Does Bill have any real input since he's an expert in women, aka womanologist?
Excuse me.
You know, Real always got a comment and an opinion. Mhm. We Vaughn.
Vaughn, join the panel, Vaughn.
This woman said, Mom said, oh, well, I can talk about my man. We want to talk to him. See, why you come
He's
on
at
here?
work. He's at work.
Man, some of y'all better jump up here. See, like me, I envelope both sides, right? So I'm sure, and then don't take this as an insult, but some women are kind of aggressive. So I feel like some of y'all could come up here. Like you know how some women are kind of like, no, 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 no.
Oh,
Would you rather me like no?
oh,
You know how me, like me, I'm masculine, but I can envelope my I won't say feminine, but my empathic side. So can
oh
women.
no, you know. Since you want to call us aggressive, what you want to call it? Your soft side? Hmm. Hmm.
Y'all are
No,
funny in
because
this
Because you
chat.
tried it, dog. You're not about to skate past me with that. Bring you back. Let's circle back
never
to
mind.
that.
I'll take
Real.
it back.
Oh no, Andy and Will.
I
Come
recant
on.
my statement.
So you tap into your soft side. Oh yes, Mr. Feeling delicious, Mr. Feeling elegant and things. You right
E-
about it.
Exactly. No, because sometimes women have to because men will force you to do
No,
that.
me
Like
and have
no,
to.
hear
We
me out.
talking
Hear me
about
out.
you tapping into yours.
If men can't do things for a woman, right? you're
Okay,
then going
Bond.
to be forced to be able to do these things anyway. Like you got to step up to that role anyway.
Yes,
Because guess
Joe.
what?
Pray.
What I said. What did I say? What I said before? Men ain't men in these days. So guess what? Women got to step into both roles. Like it just is what it is.
Ma, I put your disclaimer up for you since you didn't get do it yet. There you go. God bless.
Y'all know I'm messing with y'all.
Uh-huh. Yeah, yes, I call him Mr. Delicious Lingerie. Uh-huh. Because he was talking
Delicious
about that
lingerie.
Victoria's Secrets. Oh yes, get your
Please,
popcorn,
guide this
Janice.
live. Please guide this live today, God.
Well, you let him. You told him to come up, so you gonna get what he gives. You already know.
Please
Ain't
forgive
that
me for
right?
not coming before you before I hit start
You ain't stick the Lord
the
face
live.
on you. Uh
Please forgive me, Lord.
huh.
I sincerely apologize and I ask that you would guide this live today.
Okay, so would
Thank
y'all like
you in
me
advance.
to be real, or do y'all want me to just be a little professional with what I say today?
No, I want you to be real. This is a real conversation.
Okay,
Yes, and that's part of your name. Real eyes and evens. So long be real. As you
and that part.
and and Via and Will is your name. So your StreamYard name is
Thank you,
today.
Vaughn. In the mighty name of
Vaughn
Jesus.
said in the name of Jesus. Hallelujah.
The
Amen.
mighty kinglyship name of Jesus.
Don't make me shout real. Now I'm with you when you right, and I felt that a little piece. Now come on here.
I know that's right.
Cindy said, "Real life is no joke. Dealing with struggle."
So
Do you
y'all,
have a comment for that? Real.
I don't know what that means. Real life is dealing with no struggle. I mean, we
She
all
said,
have
"Real
our.
real
life
life
is
is no
no
joke.
joke."
Oh yeah, no.
She
Well, it is no joke. Like if we're talking about real life, like off this YouTube, then you're right.
Well, we talk about the men's mental health. So,
Okay, so let's tap into men's mental health right now, and I'm gonna speak to y'all. And I don't want fellas getting mad at me inside the background and all this kind of stuff. Y'all had a chance to get up here, so now that I'm up here by myself, I got to delve in and tell some of our secrets since y'all want to be hiding in the bushes. So
go for it. We
We're
listening.
going
Go
to,
for it.
no, this is going to be organized. We're not going to be all over the place on this subject because this really is a serious subject.
right,
And some of our men are really suffering in silence. And it may be because we're putting too much pressure on some of them. Now, I know that there are some who could use a little more pressure. I
not
have
me.
I have a feeling that some could use a little more pressure, but I believe for the most part we are putting a lot of pressure on men, almost to the point of expecting men to be perfect. We sometimes have an idea of what a real man is and what he should be doing or what he should not be doing. So let's
Right.
go into this conversation. Since you're the only man here, real, I
Okay.
would
So
I would ask. Go ahead.
what I'm going to start off with is I'm not going to say every man, but the majority of men, and I don't care if they try to hide it and be all oh manly and all this kind of stuff, right? The majority of men deal with, I won't say fully on mental health issues, but there is a weight against their mental and emotional states that is it's prevalent, right? And what men try to do because of the way that society has been molded to sneer at stuff like that, a lot of men tend to hide it. A lot of men tend to push it to the background. A lot of men tend to push it into a corner to seem very strong, to not get picked on, to not seem weak to certain women and all this kind of stuff. And what ends up happening is a byproduct that happens to a lot of men when they hit maybe their 30s, 40s, and 50s, because they're not expressing this stuff or because they want to seem so hard and tough. It extends into drinking a little bit more than usual, smoking cigarettes, doing certain things that they shouldn't because there's such a stress on them. So guess what? It's like now, oh, let me pick up my gin and tonic. Let me pick up my dark liquor, right? And there's a difference between us drinking socially or having your little release of, drinking because it's like I worked hard this week. But guess what? It acts as an escape. And what ends up happening is this is why much more men, guess what? You see at higher rates, they kind of unalive themselves. They die. I'm sorry, excuse that word. They unalive a little bit sooner than women because the amount of stress on them. You can look up the research that women tend to live slightly longer. That's because men have been put on this stool to, you got to do this, and this. And men are being pushed to a point to uphold this status quo when half of them don't have to. So once I saw things for what they really were, I kind of closed off that part of my mind because I used to deal with a lot of, I guess, putting myself in that whole mindset of I got to do this, I got to get these degrees, I got to have this amount of money, I got to impress, I got to do all this. And I was going down that route. I got to look good, I got to blah, blah, blah. And then I realized half of that didn't even matter because if you can find somebody who is like, okay, on the same wavelength as you, it really doesn't matter. If you're putting your all out there, right? And half the time it's like people really don't care anyway. You can be a man putting all your forth and people won't really care, or you can be putting forth just a little bit. That's still going to weigh on your conscience. Now, where I digress is I think that men need to align themselves with women, because I'm not going to say other men, because other men will look at it like, oh, you're a punk, blah, 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 rah, 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 men. Align themselves with women who are willing to listen, who are willing to give them a uplift, where it's like, listen, this is bothering me. I don't feel like I'm getting enough accolades for what I'm doing. I don't feel like and then people think that, oh, well, you're a man. You're not supposed to get accolades for what you're doing. Well, if women can get accolades for what they're doing, like, oh, thank you for being a great mother. Thank you for being this. Why can't a man? Granted, I've learned to not care whether people give me my accolades or not, because I've not gotten them. So now I'm just to a point where it's like, you can give me my accolades or you don't. I'm going to keep it moving. And then I had very strong people who were in my life, especially like there were certain men, but there were even stronger women that I looked at where I'm like, well, if they can do it, why can't I as a man do it? And it extends into the whole, oh, well, men ain't menin anymore. It's not that men ain't menin, but for some men, it's way too much of a price tag to put on that suit of armor, to put forth these things where these requirements need to be met to be a so-called man. And what society has to understand is not every man is built the same. So men and women alike can't look at a man and be like, oh, you're supposed to be doing this, you're supposed to be doing. Okay, if that man's meant to be a teacher, if this man meant to be a warrior, if this man's meant to work inside of a business, each and every role, yes, we have our basic roles, but when it extends out, not everybody's going to be the same. If I were to put forth some of the accolades where I'm like, well, a man should be this, and this, right? Some people are going to look at me and be like, well, that's not what a real man is, right? And I've said these things and I'm like, well, guess what? Each and every one of these things that I just said where you think that it's really not that mannish, this is all the things that Jesus Christ did. Then now people want to pull back and shut their mouths and all this stuff. Like, oh, well, and I'm like, there's a disconnect someplace where if you were to put some of what Christ did back inside the day and how he was and align that with today's man, people are going to say, no, well, that's not mannish, if that makes any sense. But now when I bring those stories together now, oh, well, you're right. And I was like, but anybody want to tap on in? Anybody got any questions about that right now? Where men are being put into these pockets and these boxes to assimilate what they're supposed to be, and not every man can live up to these expectations because each and every man is built differently.
So, the question was, are men still suffering in silence? So, is your answer yes, because of the pressures that are placed on them?
Yes, for sure, absolutely.
Okay, so who do you think the pressures come from for the most part? Do you think it comes from women who expect more from a man, from men who have been taught that they need to man up and are encouraging or even making other men feel guilty if they're not manning up to say, or is it just the way that we are conditioned in life, period?
I think it's the way that we've been conditioned in this day and age and century. So what has happened was back then, when it was all about men, like men rule, men do this, men do that, they were put up to that, right? But now, where we're being asked to put men, it's almost not possible. We can do the old school way of putting men, okay, the man of God, having a job, doing this and all this kind of stuff. But now the bar has been set so much higher where it's like, for a man to be where certain women asked, it's almost impossible because of the simple fact now that women have been introduced in working in the so-called job marketplace. And now since they're being able to make six figures, like I said, I know women who make 100 grand, 200 grand. They're working inside the city. Certain people are judges. Certain people work at these 500 Fortune 500 companies. You know what that can do to the average man's mental? If he didn't go to college and complete 7 or 8 years, there's no way that he can compete with that. So now let's say that he went a certain way of being a real man, and now he works in blue collar work. He's still going to suffer in silence because of that mental thing on him where it's like, dang, I'm working hard. I'm doing this. I'm putting, food on the table. But now, since the bar has been set high, certain women, it's like, well, I need my man to make this and this and this. But if he's contributing to society, being a man, doing his thing, going to church, whatever, but he's not making, I guess, what other people are making, that's going to have him suffering in silence if he truly cares about it. You know what I'm saying? Because the bar has been set so high. Now you got these jobs in these places where men are able to, you can go online now and, you can make 100 grand, 200 grand being a live streamer. That puts a lot of strain on men too, in my opinion. None of this stuff bothers me because I frankly don't care. I'm like, God gave me what he gave me and I'm going to do what I have to. But I know the stigmata that comes behind this stuff. So it bothers men, no matter how much they try to hide it. You got to be able to. Go ahead.
Are you saying that money, salaries has a lot to do with men not feeling, as I would say, adequate because of the success of women?
Of course. And the reason why I say this is because now, and this is no disrespect to anybody, but I don't take any side with that whole red pill, blue pill thing. It's just like, I'm down the middle. It's like, if you're right, you're right. You're wrong, you're wrong. This goes on women's side or men's side, right? But now it's like, if a woman can do these certain jobs, right, that certain men can't do, right? Now it becomes, oh, dang, this woman is doing this, but she should be inside a woman's place because I don't want her to do this. I don't want her to work. I don't want her making this kind of money. Well, unfortunately, if you did not go to law school for 8 years, you cannot tell a woman she can't have this job as a judge because she put in her 8 years or 10 years to go to law school. And now as a man, it's like, oh, I'm not bowing down to that. I don't want that as my wife. You know, it goes to that point. So that can hurt or bother a lot of men because now we've gone into a whole new world where now women can make just as much money as men and even more. So to some men, it can bother them. And I've heard men tell me this. And I'm like, well, who cares? Like, if she decided to do that with her time and you decided to do other things, you can't fault people for that. So now that's bothering certain men mentally now. Oh, this woman's making this. And now it goes into, it bothers them mentally because now they feel like they lost control. So it's bothered them mentally. Because now it's like, oh, she's not going to want to submit. I want somebody that don't make as much money than me so I can kind of control them. That's certain types of men. So that will bother them mentally too when women make lots and lots and lots of money. You know, like there's not just one part of this mental anguish that can come onto a man. You know what I'm saying? That can bother certain men too, because now, unfortunately, guess what? Confidence is not even a factor. That's pride. And when a man's pride is hurt, it affects his mental stability. Unfortunately. Like I'm telling y'all, this is what goes on with certain men. You know, we can agree to disagree, but I'm letting y'all inside of men's minds. Me, that don't bother me. Because of me, I know certain scriptures and I see how it is, and certain women could be put in positions, certain children could be. It doesn't matter. I just have an outlook, a way different outlook of things. But anybody else want to tap in right now?
Hey, I said what I said. Welcome to the panel.
Hey.
Before you get started, I want to speak to Lovelace. Hey, Lovelace. Welcome. Happy Tuesday. Go ahead. I said what I said.
Okay. Hey, Alice. Hey, Real. Hey, Shanice.
Yeah, sure.
Hello to the chat. Real, don't be so excited because I'm up here. Don't, you know.
Oh,
don't
no.
do that.
Sorry.
Don't do that.
Hey, I said what I know. I was looking at something. I'm looking
Hey,
outside
I
my
see
camera.
what I see. You up
Hey, I
here.
said what I. Hey, girl. You happy now? How you doing? Yay.
Yes. I'm very happy now. Thank you for protecting my mental health on the
Of
panel.
course. Of course. Listen, girls, I know how it is. Don't nobody want no dry old greeting. I get it.
Lord Jesus,
Right, because I wasn't
help
dry.
us today.
But anyway, I came up here to say, I think, yeah, Real, you are a man, so you would have, you know.
You muted yourself.
My bad. I'm saying that Real, yes, you are a man, and you do have a upfront seat into what, you know, what possibly could be um, mental health for men and the struggle that they have with mental health. But I just feel like it goes a little bit deeper than that because the things that you are talking about are things that they can control themselves, right? If you don't have education, well, you can go get your own education. If you don't have the job that you want, then you can strive to go get another job and, you know, make the money you want. So pretty much um, outside of racism, you basically can be anything you want to be in America if you have the education and you have the accolades, you know, to go behind it. Yeah, one job may not give it to you, but somebody's going to hire you if you work, you know, you keep trying and you try hard enough. Most of the time, you can achieve what you're trying to accomplish. I feel like men struggle with their mental health because as a child, boys are raised to be told, you know, not to cry, man up, you know, be a man. And, you know, I'm talking about boys. I'm not even talking about teenagers. You know, say for instance, even little babies, 3 to 5 years old, if they fall, hurt themselves, they start crying. What do the parents say? Don't cry. be a big boy, be a man. Don't, don't cry, don't show any emotions. Then when they become, little adolescents all the way up to the tween years, you're told constantly, to man up, be a man, take it like a man, and, don't cry, don't show any emotions. So I feel like, um, because a lot of people are raised that way, because, and it's our own fault, it's our own fault because we do tell our boys, to man up because everybody is so concerned about their son being LGBTQ. So I feel like that's one of the reasons why they tell little boys not to cry and to man up. I Even my brother told me, you're babying him too much. As far as my son go, men are quick to say that your baby boy is too much and you're gonna make them, turn out to be whatever. But I feel like we're failing our boys by not allowing them to actually express their real feelings as a child. So you grow up like that, and then when you become a man, it's already instilled in you to suppress your emotions. So when life hits you, and you have a problem that you can't solve, then here we go. There's, the mental health is going to kick in with some people because every man is not as strong as the next man. It's all different
Right.
levels to people. Just like all women are not the same level, don't have the same level of strength. So I feel like men don't have the same level of strength, and I think it stems from your background and your upbringing. And then, problem number two, we have to consider this. It's the race card. So our black men and boys have it like 10 times harder than the other counterparts, as far as the clear people and, other races, because as a parent and raising a black son, you have to give your black son the list of how to conduct himself and how to act before he even walk out the door. If not, he might not come back through the door, right? So I feel like those two factors plays a big part in mental health, and and then life is life. So you compile all the rest of it on, and there we have it. We have mental health, and then in the black community, therapists are not recommended. You're frowned upon if you go to therapy. Not so much these days, but couple decades ago, you know, therapy wasn't a factor for black people, for men or women. So if a man started going to therapy or whatever, people are going to start looking at him. People, will look at you upside your head like, something is going on with you, when that's really crazy because
Right.
anything else that hurt on our body, we go get it taken care of. But when it comes to our brains, we all think different when we have, some type of defect with our brain, or a defect with our emotions, or not being able to express ourselves the way that we need to. So I feel like those are some factors also as far as mental health in men.
Can I ask one question to all the women before the other women chime in? So, right, this and no, this is not every, household. This is not every woman that does this, right? But this is from outside looking in, and y'all know I kind of side with women, but this is what I'm gonna ask. How come a lot of women growing up, even when they're girls or when they reach motherhood, why is it that they tell their sons, oh, man up, do this, don't cry, you need to be strong, you need to do this and everything, right? But then when they get older and when they reach women who have gone through that, even themselves, when they run into a man who finally wants to express it, it's like they get turned off if a man cries or if a man wants to be emotional or pour into his, girlfriend or wife or a friend. What, like, do you think that it's almost setting them up for failure or no?
It is. It's a double standard. And at the end of the day, when I feel like women act like that, because how many men do we see cry in our families? Men don't
None.
men, you don't see men crying. So if you get a man and he's emotional and he start crying, you're gonna think something wrong with him because that's not normal behavior in our culture. So I feel like that's the reason why. And I feel like we tell our, like I said, we tell our boys to man up all the time because we don't want our boys to be LGBTQ, unfortunately or fortunately.
Thank you.
It's my good pleasure.
Hey, Blue. Hello, Sirius S. And Lovelace. I'm not sure if I spoke to you,
Lovely,
but
serious
happy
as
Tuesday
blue.
to
What's
all
up?
of you. Happy Tuesday to all of you. Thank you for joining. Thank you, Blue. So I want um I want Vaughn and then Tina to chime in. And Real, what was your question again?
So my question was, um, in traditional settings where it's a family, where it might be a mother or a sister or certain women as they're growing up, how come they basically tell their sons or their brothers and stuff, like, don't cry, man up, you need to be strong, you need to do this and that. And as they grow up, when they want men to kind of pour into them or show their emotions, they get turned off by it. It's like a turn off. And if a man cries or opens up to you, why is it almost like a double-edged sword? Do you feel like they're setting up men for failure?
Can I answer that?
Go
Yes.
ahead, Vaughn.
Okay, so y'all know, hey everybody, y'all know I'm the youngest out the crew. Okay, I'm raising, young boys. My oldest boy is 8, he'll be 9 in December, and my youngest is 5. He just turned 5. So real, even though I'm not a part of that generation that instilled that in the boys, I'm a part of the next generation. So yeah, I saw that, with my brother, he was taught by other men and women, to not be, y'all know the word I'm trying not to say. And I started to do that to my son. And, me and my husband bumped heads because, you know, um, I guess you could say I was kind of like, you know, all iced up in the heart. I had unhealed parts of myself. Okay. So, I was joking in the chat, like I'm in my soft girl era because, I'm unlearning a lot of things. My husband is unlearning a lot of things. You know, he's, you know, on his journey of, figuring things out as a man and as a couple and as parents, we're raising our boys. So it's not, instead of telling them don't cry, you know, because it's okay to cry when their feelings is hurt. Of course, if I'm being honest, you still don't want them to be overly sensitive. They still have to learn how to manage their emotions. And it's something that, we're learning ourselves and we're also teaching them. Um, Me saying don't be a crybaby or don't be soft, like I said, came from unhealed places of myself where, I'm operating in hardness. I don't know how to be gentle with myself. So you kind of just pass that on, not just to your boys, but to your girls too, right? So it is a learned behavior. And depending on your spouse, because I'm not coming at nobody. No, me and my husband are not perfect. Like I said, we're just learning things. But my husband had to, you know, um, open up to me and be softer with me in order for me to be softer, with our kids and stuff. You know what I mean? Is it a turn off for a man to be emotional? No. Um, I can't really say where that comes from other than, like I said, being unhealed yourself. It's like when you haven't explored, your inner child or softness or whatever you want to call it, you kind of just bleed on the other people, and if you ask me, it takes a real man to be truly vulnerable, um, because of the expectation that is placed on y'all. And as women, we have to be careful, not to put that expectation on our own children because in my experience, it's like made my son feel ways that I didn't want him to feel. It's like, wow, I didn't know you felt that way, or, you know, I didn't know that he felt, you know, a certain kind of way. And it's not that I'm trying to make him a drill sergeant or anything like that. It's just you also don't want people to pick on your kids or like your boys. I know for me, I don't want people picking on my boys and making them feel no type of way. But there's just like a balance. There has to be a balance. And it's not that, the older generation was just wrong. It's just a learned behavior that we kind of have to unlearn in order for men's not I'm sorry, not men's y'all, but men to not feel like they have to carry the weight of the world on their shoulders.
Right, right. And that's totally fine. And I'm not gonna look at a man, whether he's my brother or not, in a certain type of way because if you look at the scriptures, we got nice men, we got regular men, we got even weeping prophets. So we gotta look at stuff like that, that there's all types of stuff that go on. And it's like, do I cry? No. Like, fortunately, I had, even though I was around more. It's funny you mentioned the drill sergeant. That's what my mom was. She was a drill instructor, and so was my grandmother. She was a medic, all this kind of stuff. So I kind of had strong women around me, so I didn't see them cry whatsoever. They had this kind of, oh well, get over it attitude. So when I kind of embraced that from them, it just, some people might be like, oh, like I care for people, but I know how this world can be. So I kind of just go through things where it's just like, okay, this is how human beings are. This is how it is. There's no purpose in holding on to this or being mental about it or having anxiety. Like, there's no point. Because guess what? A lot of people don't care. So it's like, oh, well, next day, move on. And I seen that with a lot of the military side of the females, even though I had males around me. So it was kind of a good thing, but not everybody's going to be like that. But y'all can tap in.
Give me a minute to speak. I think I forgot to speak to my son-in-law. Blaze, if you're still here, happy Tuesday. And V, thank you for watching from the clouds. I hope you're having a great Tuesday as well. Okay. Were you saying something real? Because I'm getting ready to let Tina say something.
I was gonna
No, go ahead.
when he stopped, I was gonna answer your question. Do I think
Okay.
men are suffering in silence? Yes, I do. The reason being, and I'm not blaming us women, y'all. I just have recently learned and experienced for myself that a lot of us women are unhealed. There's no shame in that. And we because of how we were taught, we expect the men of today to be like the men yesterday. But a lot of the softness, and I'm not saying that softness is weakness because it's not, but a lot of the softness that we women used to have, we kind of don't have that either, right? And um we also expect, well, I'm not saying everybody, I'm really just speaking from my own experience, so let me speak from there. um we expect men to be God when men are human, even though we may have been taught that men can carry more, they're supposed to carry more, they're supposed to be more. The truth is that men are human just like us. They have feelings and emotions just like us. They may not express them, or the word compartmentalize the way that we do, and but it doesn't make them weak when they show their emotions or when they need someone to lean on. And a lot of the men in yesterday, they didn't complain. They just carried everything on their shoulders. But if we pay attention, a lot of those men passed early, and a lot of women too that were also carrying that way, they passed early, from diseases. Their bodies weren't being worn and tore down from trying to carry so much. And I think today's men, we might troll and joke, oh, they're so emotional, but I truly believe a lot of men were raised by women. And you know I'm not disrespecting single mothers, because my mom was a single mom and she was a married mom. But I believe that, a lot of single women, having, you know, because they were carrying a lot, they were trying to raise their sons to be, the strong men that their fathers weren't. And I just believe if we, you know, help each other out, lean on each other and help each other and allow the men to be human like us, that'll create a better and healthier space for them to, feel and be loved and seen and taken care of.
I agree, Vaughn.
Right, right. And just to add on to this, what certain women have to realize is not every man is going to be super manly. Some of them is not built in their genetic makeup. Some of them, their testosterone doesn't even go that high. So remember, you can't expect a true, real manly man out of somebody who's like a teacher or a scientist, or, they got like a double X, chromosomes or YX chromosomes versus an XY. We just have to realize that. So not every man, people have to realize that, even women, you can't expect this one size fits all. This man got to be doing this. He can't complain. He's got to make this amount of money. He's got to at least be 6 feet. Like, it's just not gonna happen. So some people are gonna have stronger minds, or not. We don't know what certain men have gone through. Like, I look at some of my other brethren, where I see some of them is just like, I can't take some of them. But I slowly deal with certain things because I don't know what they experienced. And you got to realize, like what Vaughn said, or I said what I said, if they didn't have a man inside the house, how can you expect a man to be a full man if they don't know what a man is, if it was a single mom raising them? I want to let y'all ponder on that. I'm going on mute.
So let me speak to Brick City. Welcome. And Candy K. Welcome to both of you. Happy Tuesday. I hope you're having a great day so far. Brick City, if you want to join the panel, please feel free to do so. And anyone else. We can have 4 more people on the panel. Go ahead, Tina, and say what you have to say.
The first thing that I wanted to say, well, first of all, hello. I wanted to greet everyone on the panel. You as well, Miss Alice. The thing that first crossed my mind when you've asked the question of do men suffer in silence, I think there's a yes and a no to that answer. I say yes because there are some things that men sometimes do not know how to communicate. But it's not that they're not communicating it at all. It just may not be in a way that we hear it. Secondarily, I think that I say that they don't suffer in silence almost for that same reason. There are signs, there are ways that they're saying they're hurting. It's just that we either don't have an ear to hear it or we're not paying attention or we're so inundated with what we have going on that we haven't developed the skills yet to listen. I
I
say
don't
that
mean to cut you
because
off, but I have to tell you that I definitely agree with that.
Mhm.
I
Go
do
Mm-hmm.
too.
ahead.
Correct.
Yeah, 1,000%.
Go ahead,
I,
finish, Tina.
mhm. I think that one of the biggest misnomers is people communicate in different ways. We always talking about how you can see 2 homegirls and they can give each other a look and know what each other are saying without saying anything. Well, there are times where our children can whine a certain way, can cry a certain way, and you could tell if they're hungry or you could tell if they're hurting. But here it is, we have men that walk around. If you do no more than see a person limping, you can make the assessment that their foot is hurting, their leg is hurting, maybe even their back is hurting. But here it is, we have men that are showing signs that they're hurting out loud, but nobody's listening. Nobody's paying attention. And they say, hey, I don't like this. And you have resistance because some women say, well, you say you don't like that, but you got to accept everything about me.
Facts.
So true.
they can always make the notion or the expression about what they do not want. And here it is, you have a whole society built around the idea of I can have what I want to have with whom I want to have it. They just have to accept me for me. But men are not accepted. Men are not respected in their own roles to a great degree. So much so until it's almost a war of the sexes. And it's hard for it to be that way, especially in
Agreed.
the home, because when it comes to your children grow up seeing how you treat men. It's hard to tell us your son you're going to be a great young man. Oh, I love you, and this that, and the other, but you treat his father like he's garbage. You'll say the things like he's garbage, he's trash, he ain't worth nothing. What makes him, the young man, think that in that same reflection of whom he sees himself and his father, how is it that he's different from his father, being that that's where he came from? There are so many different things that I feel like just do not get highlighted enough because everyone has their own agenda. And lastly, the thing I want to say is women have been fed a fantasy. Going along with what Vaughn was saying about looking at men like they're God, there are human beings. But because we have the novels, we have the maybe the housewives of Atlanta or something, somebody that can take care of them, swoop them off their feet, take all their trash and their bad talk and all of that, and still pay all of the bills and take them on a trip, when that's not reality for most people in life. But if that's what's in your heart and to aspire after, you'll treat everyone that's just regular, trying to go to work every day, trying to become something of themselves, as if they're garbage, trash, and not worth your time.
Mm. Look at Tina explaining men more than the man can
She
explain
better
himself.
preach. Woo!
I knew somebody's going to do it.
Y'all go ahead and keep the conversation going. Thank you so much, Tina. We love to hear your voice, and we love to hear
Somebody
what
say
you have
something.
to say.
So I was gonna say, okay, do you know another thing that bothers me? Like this don't really bother me. Sometimes it can get underneath my skin, but I let it go. I think sometimes women can be what affects a man's mental because he knows he can't say too much and argue back with women and all this kind of stuff. But it's like me, I don't, a man or a woman is just like I'm gonna put you inside the plate. But it's like the verbally abusive things that I see certain women do to men. It's like I think that can hold on a man's mental status and make him suffer in silence because we're taught as men not to say anything, don't argue back with a woman, don't do this and that. But when women are very verbally abusive to men, that can make a man suffer in silence also. Like I've even seen it up here. So it's like now a man has been put into a certain position where he can't say nothing. So like let's say a woman's very toxic and she speaks to her man like that. If he says something back, it's like, oh, I'm this and that. You argue with women. No, that's another thing that I've had men come to me and ask me about, oh, my girl's doing this or doing that, but I can't say anything. So what do we do when women are very verbally abusive, when we need to fix that part and it's causing men to bottle up things and hold it in? Like what can we do about that part?
Well, I think you, as a man, you have to have some self esteem for yourself. And I think a lot of
I
times,
say the same thing you would do if it was a man who is verbally abusive. You should leave. You know, a lot that to me that goes hand in hand with expecting or thinking or believing that men are supposed to be so tough that our words and believe it or not, there are a lot of women, okay, who really believe that what they say to a man shouldn't affect them because they're a man. And you should just be so tough. And I've even been a witness to me doing it. Oh, that didn't hurt her feelings. Oh, that don't hurt you. And to me, it's really not a man or a woman thing. I think it's about your heart. Like what Miss Tina was saying, what's in your heart, what you striving after, you know, and it make it, in my opinion, it, what's in your heart is how you're gonna treat people. And if you know, are selfish and inconsiderate of other people, you know, it's like you got all the feelings in the world, and you know, if somebody do something to you, you just torn apart, but you don't see how when you do that same thing to a person, it can tear them apart. And to me, that's just selfishness and considerate. You know, if I take it the next step, I say you got a spirit up on you that you need to be delivered from, where you expect people to take on your harshness, but you don't want to be treated harshly. But I would, you know, tell that man, you know, hey, you need to separate yourself, because if that woman is just tearing you down all the time and expecting you to take it, that is abusive. And it's not just verbal abuse, it's emotional abuse. Because no human can take someone spewing hate and negativity all day. What makes you think that a man can take that, as if he's not flesh and blood, you know, like you? So that's what I say.
Well, can y'all hear me?
Right.
Can
Yeah,
y'all
I
hear
wish
me?
I could bring some of my brethren up here to hear y'all. I
Oh, and
really
I
do.
almost
Can y'all?
forgot. And
Can
I
y'all
working
can
hear
on
hear
me?
your
you. I can hear you. I said what I
self-esteem.
said.
Wait, can y'all
Okay.
hear me? Am I overtalking
Apparently
somebody?
they can't hear me because when I'm speaking, they're speaking over me. So apparently they must can't hear me.
Can't nobody hear? Okay.
I hear you, but yeah, I don't see the green, but I can hear you.
You don't see the
Um,
green.
you know how I can see when somebody is talking, I
Oh.
can see green dots.
Uh-huh.
I don't see that when you're talking, but I can still hear you.
Okay. I don't know if the chat.
Now I do see it. I see it now.
Okay, you see it now. Okay.
Uh-huh.
Can
Okay.
y'all hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was
Yeah.
I over talking somebody?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was
You
speaking
actually
and yeah, and you just kind
My
yeah,
of took
bad,
I had
sis.
over.
My
saying
bad.
something and you didn't hear me either, Vaughn. So
Yeah. So
I'm
I think
sorry,
yeah.
y'all. My bad.
that's
Takeover
okay.
Okay.
spirits.
That's okay. But
Mm-mm.
Stop it.
I just feel like that could go both ways as far because some men do, it's just like some men and some women. Sometimes you want a person so bad, you'll put up with any and everything, even if it's verbal abuse, right? Even if that person overlook you, don't give you the respect that you want, or not really giving you what you want at the relationship, sometimes people still hang on for whatever reason because they in their mind this is what I want, and I'll take the good along with the bad with it, right? But until it may be turning up your mental health because you're staying in something um, that's not good for you. And I've seen it happen over and over and over again just because, she got a big butt or she got a pretty face or whatever it is she has that the man is interested in. A lot of times they'll set their feelings aside and just put up with whatever until they can't put up with it no more. And then,
Yup. I've seen that. Can't stand
yeah,
that.
and then down the line they'll finally wake up or what have you. So I don't blame society and I don't blame women on some of the mental health issues that the men have because I feel like
Mm-hmm.
sometimes men bring that on themselves as well as women because some women will put up with any
Mm-hmm.
and everything just to have whatever for whatever the reason is. And so you have to be an advocate of protecting your own peace. You have to be a advocate of protecting your own mental health. And if something is detrimental to your mental health, then you need to, act accordingly. Use your common sense that God gave you. He gave us 5 of them, so go ahead and utilize those, and protect yourself because in this world it's a hard, cold world, and nobody is really gonna look out for you other than you. You have to look out for yourself, especially when you have a selfish person or someone that degrades you or act like you're nothing or what have you, but you still just there, you know,
Mm-hmm.
beating their drum and trying to hold them up and for whatever reason. So sometimes I think men cause their own mental health issues.
I
Yeah,
would like
that's
to add
why.
to that.
Oh, well, go ahead, Miss T.
Just briefly, I think that one of the biggest misnomers is the fact that we don't have healthy communities as a whole. Because sometimes, when we have the little boy who's cutting up, there are some that will say, oh, well, that's just how he is. Or when that man gets older, well, that's just how he is. You just have to accept it rather than confronting it, and either finding out that this person actually does have a legitimate disorder, or the thing of whatever's going on with them just has not been confronted because people have allowed it to slide over and over again, which can happen, especially when you have single parent homes where it's just the mother who is depending on that son to do the heavy lifting in the home when it's just her and him, or her and some other daughters, or what have
Hmm. I was gonna say, Miss Tina and
Hmm.
sis, self-esteem is very important. Miss Alice, if you don't mind, I'm gonna testify real quick, just real quick.
Go ahead and
Um,
share.
a lot of times, when you're single, you think, oh, when I get in a relationship, I'll be different, or once we get married, I'm gonna be different. That is a lie, y'all. My grandfather used to always say to me, prepare. I remember I was pregnant with my daughter, and I don't know if y'all have the same experience, but of course, we had the baby stuff, we had the baby shower and things like that. But he was telling me, you gotta get ready, for when the baby comes. You can't just sleep and eat all day, and you just kind of, And I'm like, well, what am I, how am I going to prepare or practice for this baby? I figure it's all just gonna come when she gets here. And I'm grateful that I somewhat listened, because I ain't gonna lie, I ain't listen to everything, okay? But he was telling me to prepare, for when my baby came. And when she got here, I did struggle a little bit because when she first got here, everybody was around and I had all this help. But then it was me and her. I was just a little scared, like, am I gonna do something to this child? And as I've gotten older, I notice a lot of young people online, oh, when I get married, I'm gonna be different. When I have a baby, I'm gonna be different. If you're not married or you don't have any children, work on yourself while you have the time. It's not like once you give birth to that baby or once you say the vows that, oh, it's like gonna be some magical awakening. You're just gonna become the best wife and the best mom. No, you have to mentally prepare. You have to work on your self-esteem, because you can go into a marriage, you know, y'all know how they say in the movies and the TV shows, oh, such and such is my, I got it, baby. Such and such is my better half. There's no such thing as your better half. Like, and I'm not saying that to discourage anybody, but we go into relationships trying to make the relationship make us whole, when whole time we've been single, we should have been, working on our relationship with God so that we can be whole when we get into the relationship. You know, the saying is two halves make a whole, but you gonna go into the relationship thinking or expecting that man to feel things that you should have been feeling before you got with him. And the same thing with a man. They get into the relationship expecting the man to be superwoman, and they like, oh, I need a new woman. And it's like, no, you need to appreciate your woman the way she is. You got some things that you need to work on. She's not your magical genie person that's just gonna change your
Right,
life.
right.
So I encourage everybody to really work on themselves. Baby, give me 1 second. I'm gonna give you whatever it is you need. Work on yourselves before you get in a relationship. Lean on God. Your spouse is not God. They're not there to make you whole. They are not there to fix your childhood wounds and traumas. Can they be someone, a shoulder to lean on? Yes, but they're not the genie. That's not how it works.
So I would say, Vaughn, when you're talking about it's no such thing as a better half, I kind of disagree with that. And the reason being that if you have two people who are whole, you can complement one another. And you're not necessarily like, nobody's perfect, right? So
No, I
if
agree with you.
I,
I'm glad you
yeah,
clearing that up because yeah.
okay. So
Yeah,
let me talk
without trauma
to the
bonding.
audience,
I
to
think that's what
others
she's
who are
talking about.
listening. So if my husband isn't good at something and I am, then I should be willing to take up what he can't do and vice versa.
Yes, thank you. Somebody who sees what I see. Thank you. Yes.
Yes. And I'm glad you said that, Miss Alice, because when I said it, I was like, I ain't trying to. What I'm saying is that you can have a person, and if you've been married multiple times or even in a relationship, Miss Alice, or whoever, you got people out here
Watch out
that
now.
sis, I'm not. It's other people in the bushes I'm talking to. But if you have been in that kind of relationship or around a person that's like they got it all figured out and they will down you, instead of trying to help you, iron sharpening iron, they will try to
Yeah,
place
yeah, yeah. Instead
themselves
of that,
above
you ain't
you.
know that. You didn't know this. You
Yeah, you
stupid. I
didn't
get
know.
it. Yup.
Yeah. And like Real was saying, there's a lot of trauma bonds, out here. People are together, over trauma bonding. And don't get me wrong, I do believe there's a such thing as a better half. What I'm trying to say is don't go into a relationship expecting that person to feel only what God can feel. Do I believe that, when God puts two people together, that they complete each other? Yes, I do. I wholeheartedly believe that because there's a number of things that I am not good at that my husband is good at. And he's told me there's things he's not good at that I'm good at. And, we're in a learning stage, where it's like, okay, I pour your cup, you pour my cup, which is another reason why I really didn't want to come up here, y'all. But, because I'm enjoying it. I don't want no bad spirits to ruin it. But it's like,
We bind
you
any
know,
bad spirits trying to come against
in the
you and your
mighty name of
marriage.
Jesus. That's right, Miss Alice.
Amen.
It's like,
Yes, don't even get at no shame. Come
yeah,
on here.
Girl,
it's
them
like,
spirits ain't even thinking about you right now.
but it's like when you learn that, and I'm grateful to God, because at one point, me and we was them people, we need new spouses. And with God, if I'm just keeping it real, y'all, the Lord has revived my entire household. He has put order in store. Okay, husband is in position, I'm in position, the children are getting in position, and I just believe that. And I'm not saying I regret, anything in my life, because without it, I wouldn't have found God. But I believe that when we are single, we're not just supposed to be out here living our best life and being all a part of the world. We're supposed to be finding out who we are and supposed to be in God so that we can be better for our husbands and wives. And I only am preaching that right now because I know, I just know in my heart that if me and my husband would have stayed the course, of getting to know God when we were supposed to, that we wouldn't have had to go through all the things that we went through. And I'm not trying to scare anybody or anything like that, but if you believe in God, he can restore anything, anybody. I know a lot of churches and people don't believe in therapy, but I believe that God placed those people here, to help us, not to necessarily, just need them all the time, but to give us uh the tools and a guide on how to be better people, because you can get into a relationship and not just screw up, that person, but you can screw up your kids, their kids, their friends, because I don't know who said it. I think it was Miss Tina. The way you treat your man is how your son is gonna, feel about himself. He's gonna grow up remembering, oh, well, my mom said this about my dad. We're always talking about women and how we need to carry ourselves, and we're examples to other women. But as women, we're also examples for our sons. And I agree with you 1,000%, Miss Tina, that the way you treat a man is how your son is gonna see himself, and then it's going to be hard for him to believe that he's this great strong person when you down tearing a man. So I don't have all the answers. I just I'm still learning. But I just believe that if you keep God in the center of your life, whether you single or in a relationship, you'll be good. You'll be good. I ain't gonna say you're gonna have no trials and tribulations, but it'll definitely be easier to get through with the power of God. I strongly believe that.
Well, I feel like we're raising a whole generation of men um, that's beginning to not even like women for whatever reason. And I don't know what kind of example that they're
Mm.
seeing at the house.
I don't
I'm
know what
serious.
that's about. I don't know what that's about.
Yeah, I have no clue what that's about hating women, because you have a mom, you have aunties, you have grandparents, grandmothers and sibling sisters. But I feel like some of that what you're saying is true, Vaughn, because there's a whole generation of men that kind of detest women, and I don't know if they're talking down on men in the households, or why these dudes are being produced this way or being taught this way. And I don't know if it's because um, it's a manosphere thing, because I really do feel like men in America feel like women are emasculating them and they're losing their manhood. So instead of trying to find a real answer, the answer is to hate women and to just rag on women all the time. So I feel like there's some mental illness with that also. Even if you, because no one can pick and choose their parents. You can't. When you're a kid, you come into this world. Your family is who they are. You can't change the past, but you definitely can change your future. So if you see, like Rio said, earlier, if you feel like you got some issues going on, or if you feel like your mental health is not intact, there's nothing wrong with seeking help. And I really feel like that's a failure for Black men. I don't know about other races because I'm Black, so I have to talk about Black people. But I do know in our society, therapy and talking about your feelings and trying to tap into your mental health, that's just not a common thing in our society. It's changing. It really is changing, and I'm glad to see that, so that people can try to get themselves together. Like Vaughn said, be a whole person before you even enter into a relationship. But we're still trying to overcome that hump and that gap. And it seemed like the answer is, some of the answers that these men are getting are the wrong answers, in my opinion. So I don't feel like the problem is going to go anywhere, and I feel like it's going to, actually get worse because of what society is producing at this point, and because of social media.
I
Because
think
social
Heavy on the
media
social
tell you,
media.
yeah, social
Heavy on
media,
the social media.
yeah, because social media really guide a lot of people, and people don't realize that it's all fake, and people are just, showing you what they want you to see and not really what they really are. But it's a lot of people following people on social media that's giving out wrong advice, wrong information, just giving out wrongness altogether. But people are following it because it sounds good to them. And it seems like everybody wants something to soothe them at this point. Instead of working on themselves, everybody kind of like want a quick
Instant
answer or whatever,
gratification.
instant
Hmm.
gratification, or blame the opposite sex, in my opinion. And that seems like that's what's going on at this point. So the mental health thing is really here to stay, and it's not getting
Hmm.
better, in my opinion.
that one
Y'all,
of
I want to can you hold that, Tina? I want to read some of these star comments because there's a bunch of them, and I don't want to wait until the end to read all of them. So can you hold up for a minute, Tina?
absolutely.
Okay, thank you. So Janice says a tearful man is a strong man to me, trying to hold everything together. I said what I said boys, I think she said it on the panel. Boys are taught from a young age to man up and not cry or show emotions. And she says, I don't equate men ain't men and to mental health. That's a difference from being red pill attitude or scrub behavior. And she says, Janice says, I believe some of the men I know do suffer in silence, speaking on their broken home with no support and being belittled. Joe says, personally, raising a young man, I encourage him not to lean on the expectations of the world and especially another woman to guide his growth or his success. She says, a man should stand 10 toes on his own strength and abilities, and a woman as well. She also says real is talking about a man's issue because of expectations or a woman's opinion. Why are we trying to please anyone but ourselves? Lovelace says, I always told my sons it's a time and a place to express themselves. Surround yourself with people that respect you, and when you express yourself, they can handle it and not belittle you. She says, I'm thankful that my daughters-in-law love my sons enough through their vulnerability. Blaze says, I would say this from my own personal experiences. As a Black man, it's critical to recognize and address issues regarding your mental health. Give yourself a space to breathe. Lovelace says, I was going to say that men, get your testosterone levels checked. It's super important just on a health level. Lovelace says, men are human too. It's okay, men, to say out loud, I'm not okay. Senna says, when they start to listen, it will be too late in a lot of instances. Brick City says, women communicate through talking and sometimes they get frustrated, but we should always think of the bigger picture. Kendi K says, trauma bond, a powerful, unhealthy, emotional attachment that develops between a victim and their abuser. It is rooted in a cycle of abuse followed by brief periods of affection. Lovelace says, what's that saying? Treat others the way we wish to be treated. Amen. Joe says, truth, but we go through tests and expected to learn from them. So growth is important. That's true. Lovelace says, it's their experiences and some of the behaviors that they see that will make them feel that way. And Lovelace also said, I say get out and experience and see better so the mental will understand better. Okay, Tina, go ahead.
I think one of the biggest
Wait a minute,
issues,
Tina. Urban and Miss Buckeye, welcome. Go ahead, Tina.
I think that one of the biggest issues that gets verbalized but kind of gets swept under the rug is the lack of accountability of women and mothers. Um, Men either love you because they love their mother or they hate you as a woman because of their mother. These upbringings that they have, a lot of times where there's a single parent home, whether they look at their mother and they lost respect for her before because of the decisions that she made about who she decided to date, who she decided to marry, or how she was treated by someone in their faces, or the fact that um, the mother is not able to mother them properly for trying to wear both pants legs in the home, which is basically impossible. Yes, that mother can be a nurturer. Yes, that mother can be the breadwinner. But when you put all of that on her, where does that leave that young man as it pertains to a good example for balance? And so when you don't have that balance in the home, when you don't have that balance for that mother can be abusive in ways that she doesn't even consider abuse. Because a lot of times she feels like I'm doing the best that I can. But doing the best that you can does not always equate to the lack of abuse. And so sometimes I feel like a lot of these men are tired of being in situations being blamed for everything that goes wrong when they know they've lived with their mothers and grandmothers the majority of their lives.
I can't disagree with you.
Mm-mm. Right.
You're preaching,
I
Tina.
agree. I used to babysit for this a non-melanated cousin of ours, right? And I was a kid. I really wish my mother was here, y'all, because she could be a witness. I was a kid. I was about 16, and I love these kids like they was my own. And it used to irk my nerves because I'm a kid. I'm being paid to babysit. Because this woman was so much older than me, and like I said, she's non-melanated cousin, y'all. So it shocked me to my core because she had told me she was divorced and that their father had came to doing I don't know how to say that on this without saying it, but y'all, he was one of them, what's Dave Chappelle's, he was one of them with the white mouth, y'all know what I'm talking about. And she would get mad at her oldest. He was her oldest son. He wasn't even 9 years old. I remember his ninth birthday because him and my mother shared the same birthday. And she would get mad at this boy when he act up, and on top of that, he had a disability, you know. And she would tell him, you gonna be a CH just like your dad. And it shocked me because on movies and TV and somewhere in the hood, that's how uh some of us talk to our kids or whatever. But it shocked me because he wasn't even a teenager, y'all, and he was just getting into bad stuff or whatever. And for her to say he would be just like his father and to put him being a CH on him like that, it would bother me. And I remember I talked to her. I was like, I really don't like it when you say that. So I said all that to say one thing that gets on my nerves is when mothers or even fathers, you're going to be just like your mom, you're going to be just like your daddy. But I think that's the worst thing to say to a kid, especially a young boy, that he'll be just like his father, especially if his father is considered no good or went down the wrong path. I don't think that's okay. I don't think that's cool at all to, speak word curses over your own children or even somebody else's children just because they're having a hard time as a kid. Not even and I'm not saying it's okay if they're teenagers, but when your kids are so young like that, and the sad thing about it is, of course, this was years ago, but that boy has had a lot of trouble. And I remember when she, reached out to me and she was telling me, all the stuff he had gotten into. That was the only thing that I could think was, well, you spoke these things over him, when he wasn't even 10 years old. And I'm not judging her, y'all, or anything like that. But if it sounds like I'm disgusted, it's because I'm remembering it as if it was yesterday, and I'm still disgusted. But when my kids, even though me and their dad, we've had issues and stuff, I would never say anything like that to my children. Um, I don't think anybody should speak to their children and reference them and being just like somebody 30 years older than them, speaking that over them because in my experience, I actually have lived to see those things come to pass over that boy. And my mom, because she knew how much I cared about the kids, she even took them under her wing. She was teaching me how to care for them. The village and, you know, I just don't believe in speaking negative things over children. I think it's wrong. And you should be mindful of what you say to children at any age.
I agree, Vaughn.
Right.
Oh, she'll be back. She dropped, but she'll be back. Here she goes. Hold up. Okay. Welcome back, Vaughn.
Yeah, I got
Urban
cut
says
off.
the truth is that negative men mental health is self-inflicted by the choices we make as men. It's time for accountability and solutions. Go ahead. Who was talking? Oh, hey, Coco. Vaughn, were you talking? Who was talking?
Huh? No, yeah, no, I was that's all I had to say. I was just saying that
Okay.
okay, let me wrap it up. What I was trying to say is that Miss Tina, I agree with you that a man will love you if he loves his mother, and he'll hate you or dislike you because of how he feels about his mother. And no, my mother was not like that towards my brother at all. I that's why I gave that experience, because I do believe that, and I'm not blaming us women, but I do believe that I agree with Miss Tina. There needs to be accountability amongst us women on how we're carrying ourselves, how we're treating our sons, the type of men we come in contact with. Because if we're making the decision to have children by these men or date them or entertain them, whatever, holding all of that hostility towards your son, their sons, or your son as a man, that's not their responsibility. And I'm not trying to preach about, uh therapy, but as women, yes, we need to be accountable and go get some help. And it's not on all the men. All the men, we like to say, oh, these men was raised jacked up. So were we. And
Mhm.
we need to, as women, hold each other accountable, stop making excuses for our negative and childish behavior. I agree with sis that social media, for us young women is not helpful. Them women is, I don't know what they hyped up on, but it's nothing that you need to be following and looking up to. And if you don't have mothers and grandmothers, of wisdom to seek guidance from, it's plenty of them out here, on podcasts, it's mentorship groups, there's women in the church, even though I know some of us don't like them. But the stuff that they be teaching is what's needed to help these kids, and I'm still raising my kids. And that's probably why I'm so passionate about this, because if it wasn't for my deliverance and, me seeking wise counsel, from my mother, the women on this panel, you know, I would still be going down the wrong path. And it's nothing to joke with or play with, because we are raising the next generation. And there, and I'm a hush, because the way the next generation is going to be set up, I'm actually feeling it. I see it, because there's not going to be a lot of mothers in the church and mentors, as women, the way that things are changing. It's not going to be a lot of them. And I just pray that my daughters and my sons, you know, will, do what I'm doing while we still can, which is go down the right way, you know.
Well,
Hey,
while I agree with what the young man in the chat said about men needing to take accountability, the truth is there is a pathology. Sometimes you have to know why you're doing something in order to course correct. Because if you don't understand what the foundation of an emotion, of an action is, you're prone to repeat it without understanding what's going on underneath all of that. And so, while yes, I do think men need to take accountability in getting the help that they need, but the truth of the matter is part of that help is finding out where these things started and then move forward from there. Because if you do not deal with your past, it's bound to repeat again in another form.
Facts.
I agree. I want Blaze and Brick City to chime in.
Cousin
So
on the panel.
yes, my son-in-law is on the panel. Welcome to Blaze and welcome Brick City. This is your first time that I've seen you here and on the panel. So welcome to both of you. Um, whoever wants to go first can go ahead.
Well, this is 100 Brick City. I just wanted to say thank you for such a excellent topic. Just to see like-minded people coming together, trying to find, a way for each other to blossom and develop is something great. I know we were talking about like, is it this one's fault or that one when we know it's not either one's at times, but we do got to remember like it takes a community to raise just one person. So hopefully we can all stick together when it comes to those situations where there's a single mom or single dad, things like that, where we can have a more improved society. Because I'm sure where we come from, we were all raising each other. I know even our parents say that you can't walk down the street without Miss Green knocking you upside your head sometimes. So hopefully we get back to this type of community that you guys are building. And great topic. Hopefully I can join you guys more late. I came in kind of late, so I didn't want to speak too much about it.
Oh, you're fine. You can, if you have more to say, feel free to do so.
So that was it for now. Just to, first
Okay.
greet and, say hello to the panel. But yeah, great topic. And, hopefully as a community, we can take more responsibility for, all of our children individually, because we do know men are going through things naturally, you know what I mean? But our women sometimes bear the brunt of it, and vice versa. When our women go through things, our sons and our men go bear the brunt of it. I've seen it firsthand. So I definitely appreciate just you guys even trying to develop something and reach out. So great discussion, great panel. And, again, I'm just here in the background listening. So
Okay. But thank you. Thank you. Anybody else want to chime in? Real
Um,
hasn't said anything in a while.
so I just are y'all able to still hear me?
Yeah.
We can hear you.
Okay.
Oh yeah, we
So
hear you just fine. Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, Real. Can you hear? Real.
can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
So what I was saying is sometimes too, um, men can surround themselves with other men who might not boost them so well. They might boost them in other ways, like, okay, here, let's go out, let's go get a drink, let's go smoke, let's go do this and stuff. That's not going to fix the problem, right? And sometimes a man will not put another man in a proper place to teach him how to do certain things, right? So now what I've learned from what I've seen, and anybody can disagree with this, but this is one of the truths of the matter. If a woman sees certain things, right, and she can teach that man. So if a woman is like, okay, you know what? I see you as a man. This is not going right, this and that. Instead of putting down a man, if a man can go and sit there and a woman can come to him where this is how you might better serve yourself. This is how you better serve the Lord. This is how you avoid destructive habits. There's a great story in the Old Testament inside the scriptures of a woman who was a great mother, and she taught this man called King Lemuel. He was one of the greatest kings. She taught him by how to be one of the greatest kings ever. So now I look at certain situations where it's like, now can we go back to those ways of uplifting men and teaching men certain things that they might not be aware of? And men holding themselves accountable to be able to realize that, yes, certain women do possess vast amounts of wisdom that can help you. And instead of us putting this mental guard up of, oh, I'm not listening to no woman and blah, 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 and this, all that stuff. Look at Priscilla. Look at Aquila. Look at King Lemuel's mother. So if your brethren can't teach you, and if a woman's looking at a situation, like look at what all these great women said. Look at what these people are saying. Look at what Tina's saying. She's explaining some of these situations great. So if we take time to, you know what? because they've have put themselves inside of the place to be able to learn some of these things, that can help some of the situation too. Not all the time, but I'm just saying, open yourselves up because somebody might have a great deal of wisdom for you where you least expected it. And it can come from a woman because guess what? They still are nature and nurtures. They can't give you the full bounty, but open yourselves up just to hear what certain women have to say. And I'm sure some of y'all can agree. Some may disagree.
I just have a question. Are you talking about Esther? Because I'm reading about her right now, and I don't want to know the end of the
Eh,
story.
there-
Who you talking about?
there's Esther, there's Priscilla, there's Aquila, and look it up right now. Look up Proverbs, I think it's 31, 1
Mhm.
through 9. King
Mhm.
Lemuel. He was taught how to be a great king
Yeah.
to the
Okay. I know what you're
nations.
talking about.
Yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. So it's just if we can't get it from our fellow brethren, that way this certain mental, thing that's holding over men, guess what?
Mhm.
If you can't get this upliftment from your fellow brethren who just want to sweep it underneath the rug, but if there's a woman willing there to, I see what's going on, let me uplift you, like there's certain women still out there like that. Don't be afraid to open up and hear that and listen to what she has to say, and y'all could pour into one another, if that makes sense. Because I notice a lot of us guys, we can be there for each other, but it's not a real, like a real, like, stronghold where we can really push one another. I was listening to what I said was saying, and yes, kind of in the black community, we kind of push that away. I look at some of my white friends, right? And when they go through things, guess what? Yeah, bro, let's go out, let's have a drink, let's go play some golf, and then crying on each other and Brad, and this happened, and they actually listen and uplift one another. Versus our community, man, I don't want to hear that ish, man up, and then they get to cry to one another, build, get it out, and now they're starting a great business. They're doing this, they're doing that, building this, building that. So I'm just like, there's a big disconnect somewhere. Let's bridge some of these gaps, no matter where it comes from. But some men ain't gonna know everything. They just gonna here, do this, stop crying, be a man. Well, how can another man tell another man that if he don't know how to be a man to teach that man how to be a man?
You better say it real.
You know, because some women I've seen, like, they've stepped into certain positions, and sometimes men step into certain positions. So now all this, this is this and this house, but we're way past that. Let's stop trying to point to where things should be, and let's point to things of how it should be with fixing it. You know what I'm saying? Everybody got a solution, but they don't have the adding numbers to put these two things together to be able to get somewhere. Oh, men should do this, women should do. But what are we doing to get there? Let's open up to one another. That's just what I'm saying.
I think too that we just have a habit as a people of demonizing our men, idolizing our women, and the children getting all the blame. And
Mhm.
Mm,
what tends to happen is people are so consumed with placing blame on other people that they don't understand that there is a whole dynamic that has been a lot of times rooted in the history of how, what we've experienced in this country. It traces all the way back to the Willie Lynch letter, you know, light skin against dark skin, men above women, women above children, things of that nature. And when you look at that history, all you see is the trickle down effect of those things still playing out from day to day. Because at the end of the day, when you live in a capitalist society, and I'm not going against capitalism, I'm just talking about the reality of where we live. When you live in a capitalist society, somebody is benefiting on us fighting.
Mhm.
right?
Um, I don't know if y'all. I don't know why this has been coming to mind lately. My auntie said she's gonna tell my mama on me. But listen, so years ago, y'all, years like truly years ago, I used to watch this TV show called Charmed, and there was an episode where all the women, it was like some weird, witchy stuff going on, and all the women was like ruling over the men. Like there's a whole island where women rule over men. And to me, I feel like that's what's happening in the world today with like the feminist movement. And I know it started for a whole nother reason of what they're doing today. But it's like, and I truly believe that I've been delivered from this spirit because I recognize it. I know exactly what it is. It's like there's this anger and this hate towards men, and a lot of women, not just single. I know it's like, oh, single women. No, not just single women, married women trying to rule over their husbands, and that we all know, as believers on this panel, that's completely out of order, for a woman to rule over a man. And I agree with Miss Tina that it's like this, you know, everybody against each other. And it's like in today's day, I just see a lot of that. It's like the women want to rule over the men, and the men, it's like they're trying to fight to get their power back or something. There's just like this weird, unbalanced energy going around. And when you know, in my opinion, you get more into your soft girl era. It's like, oh, you weak and you're this as a woman, and you being brainwashed and da da da. You come across a woman who's, submissive to her husband, she's allowing the Lord to lead her, and she's trying to stay in the will of God, and that's just not okay. It's so bad that it's almost like sis was saying it from the first time I met her. That the kids behind us aren't having children because the women are like, oh no, I need to chase money and be successful and don't need a man for nothing. But let me ask y'all this: if we stop you know, mating with each other, like we're supposed to, and we stop having children, and we just kind of stop the circle of life because we're trying to avoid men, and men are avoiding women. What do y'all think is gonna happen? Like that's really what I want to ask some of the women that I see online. Like, do y'all understand that the selfishness that you're breeding is like a spirit? Like there's these spirits out here that are enjoying this. They don't want you to continue the circle of life. They don't want things to be in order. There's nothing wrong with being a strong, successful woman. But if you're out here just leaning onto that and that only, what do you think comes from that besides really nothing? You know what I'm saying? It's like, forget, oh, I'm just not gonna have no kids and I'm just gonna have a dog. But if all women start doing that, what's gonna happen to the generation behind us? Like that's what I want to know.
Um,
Economics matters.
yes.
Money matters. When it's all said and done, people are being mistreated in their own homes because somebody broke it in the Ten Commandments, and everyone is the issue. A lot of time isn't even about power dynamics. It's about the ability to move resources and economy. If you don't have your own healthy economy in your home, it's subject to abuse one way or another. And so when you look at it for what it is, it
Hmm.
don't, a lot of times these things that our biggest issue is more so about how do we figure out how to get along more than anything.
Hmm.
Right, right. And if you bring God, if you bring God into the situation, like I said, to me, I think that's a load of bullets because I've seen so many people who've came from fatherless or motherless homes and didn't have, brought up by the way that it's supposed to be and all this other stuff. And guess what? They still turned out to be great people of society, great men of God, great women of God. Like, so to me, that rhetoric is kind of like, you know, it's sauced out. It doesn't really make any sense because so many people, have kids out of wedlock, and that doesn't mean that those children still aren't going to be blessed. They could still find God and still, according to the scriptures, be, well endowed with the spirit of
Born
God,
again.
born again.
Yeah.
Exactly. So when
Because
people say,
I
"Oh,
used
you
to
have to,"
believe that real. Yeah.
right?
I used to
No,
believe
but
that.
that's not true. Like, how many people
Yeah.
was this and unalivers and all types of stuff, and God chose those people. he chooses those people because remember, it's like I didn't come for the believers, I came for the unbelievers. Like I want to bring them into it. So all that what people say, it has no, it holds no weight. I know
But
we want it
let
to.
me push back on that a little bit.
Okay, go
I
ahead.
feel like that's what the problem is. We've taken God out of the equation. Okay.
Amen.
God is not
Yes.
in God is
True.
not in the midst of none of this, and so that's one of the reasons why we're struggling the way that we are struggling. But rest
Yes.
assured, don't y'all worry because help is on the way. Y'all, Agent Orange president and his minions are
Ugh.
trying to make it to where you are mating, and if you are mating, you're gonna have a baby if you're not, taking the right precautions. And so, so if you're not gonna solve the problem in your own community, then someone said, "What's the answer?" I think it was Vaughn. Well, your president is trying to give you the answer. Him and the Republicans, they're trying to make it where you are going to be mating and you are going to be making kids, and you can't get rid of the children. And so that's another issue within itself. A lot of times, when you can't solve your own issues or your own problems, then government will solve it for you. And it seems like that's the line that we're going down. But at the end of the day, all it's doing is pushing people away from each other. So the kids are still not coming either. People are still not having children like they thought that they were going to have them by removing, the AB out the way. And so um, I feel like if we, I'm not saying get offline because we're online right now, right? Talking about this. But I think,
Right.
if we don't spend so much online and start spending more time doing our real lives, because when you're online, like I said, you could be anybody, whoever you want to be, whatever you want to be. You could present anything you want to present online. But in the real world, it's a whole totally different story. People wouldn't approach you, people wouldn't say anything to you. All the negativity or whatever it is that's online in real life is not like what online is. So I just feel like if we put a little bit more God, bring God back into the picture, hmm get offline a little bit more and start
Mhm.
communicating with each other effectively a little bit more, then maybe things can start to spiral and start to turn around. But um, it's really um, in my opinion, it's all going the wrong way because people don't like it when they're forced to do things, right? So by
Mhm.
the government trying to force you to have children is really what's making the younger people not really want to have children. And it all, like Tina said, it all kind of works hand in hand. Because if you're in a society and you're trying to make it and you're trying to have a family and you're trying to be the man of the house, but society is not allowing you to do that because your little one job is not going to do anything. Now people have to have two and three jobs. Both spouses have to work, and so it causes a lot of friction when you can't pay your bills. And I don't care how much of a man you are and how much of a woman you are, when things are not adding up financially, then that's when all your other problems comes awry. And that's when you start having the frustrations, and that's when you stop having the answers. And so, like I don't know who it was that said men need to take accountability. I think it was Tina and Urban saying that men need to take accountability. Well, everybody have to take accountability in the community, and everybody have to do, you know, put their best foot forward and do what they can to try to, uplift their own community and uplift them and uplift themselves within, trying to uplift the community. I just think people are not connected the way that they used to be connected. Because see, back in the day, before Jim Crow, black people didn't have anything but each other. And I hear a lot of people say, well, we had families back then, and yeah, we had families back then because we didn't have nothing else. Now we have, more to where, like Vaughn was saying, you don't have to have a man if you don't want to. You don't have to have a woman if you don't want to. You still can try to make it on your own the way society is, the way society is built now. So it's really a choice at this point. It's not something that's nothing is really bringing us together so far. I have a feeling though, because this is July 1st, right? And a lot of things finna change after
June
today.
30th. This is June
For
30th.
June 30th, but after
Yeah, I
tomorrow,
got that feeling too. I said what I said.
yeah, after tomorrow, I think a lot of this stuff that we're talking about, I think it's gonna turn
Hmm.
around because in the minute everybody gonna need each other in order to make it. The way the
Yep.
things are going now. So
Amen.
Absolutely.
so we may be, getting ready to turn a corner because we're all gonna have to lean and depend on each other after tomorrow, in my opinion, for the next 2 years.
And
Right.
I'm not trying to say because listen, yeah, I got my own, problems with what's going on in the world right now. But listen, I'm not saying I'm happy that these things are happening, but I do believe because of some new things I have learned, y'all, that all of these things are happening for a reason. And I do believe it's behind selfishness, I don't know what the answer is when it comes to social media, like whether it should be shut down because social media, there's a lot of good things that's come from it. Like, for example, all of us sitting on this panel talking about real things, right? Because, they don't like talking about real stuff on TV. But I do think that all of these things is happening because of the selfishness that has been breeded um, into my generation real, um, doing it on your own, making it on your own, not needing nobody, growing up, bashing your parents and rap songs and, all that kind of stuff. And I do think that all of these things are happening because of that, because like you were saying, back in the day, we did have family. And somewhere along the lines, it stopped being about family, it stopped being about God, which I wholeheartedly believe that that's the problem. There was a gap, you know, in the generations of not going to church, not serving God. They turned it in, oh, mama was too religious, daddy was too religious, he wasn't living right. The enemy took that and ran with it. And this is what we're dealing with now. A lot of young people are finding, God, but there's a lot of young people that aren't. And they're just out here living and trying to figure it out. And they're looking for love in all the wrong places. They are using their gifts, to take advantage of people and not necessarily live in their true purpose because they're lost. And like I said, I ain't trying to scare nobody or nothing, but I agree with sis. I think things are about to get really hard, and I also believe that that's why God has been doing what he's been doing, with the believers and having us, iron sharpening iron, being there for one another. He's got husbands out here in the position to lead their households, wives in the position, to raise their children. Um, and I just really think that we just all need to, pray and not be afraid, because, you know, things was gonna go crazy in this world one way or another, right? And sis, since you want to bring my brother into this, I believe that he's where he's supposed to be at, doing what he's supposed to be doing because of all the selfishness, in businesses and greed and how they've been taking advantage of the poor and all that kind of stuff. So all I can say is, we just got to stay prayed up and love on each other because the way the world is going, genuine love is very hard to come by. It's like in order to get some, you got to have some. So
Amen.
yeah.
I think all of it is going to come with sacrifice because love is not love just saying I love you.
Mm-hmm.
It has to be in action and it has to be a willingness to say that I'll put down my agenda to help you with yours and what you have going on. Because if everyone maintains that same mindset of it's all about me, the cycle will continue.
Mm,
I agree.
I agree. That it should be all about us. That's why I kind of try to teach people to be in service to others. But I get a lot of pushback from people like, oh, they're just people pleasing. And I'm like, it has nothing to do with people pleasing. It's working together and, humanity as a whole, not just with man or woman, but with color too. It shouldn't like we're at a point where Yes, it was about color, but now it's basically, as we can see, classism. Who got money, who don't got money, and who got pulled and who don't got pulled.
And that's now real. That to me, that's the downside of social media, because a lot of the influencers, which I'm not trying to stop nobody money, y'all, but the way the influencers are even being influenced themselves and their lifestyles, and oh, every time you get some money, you got to spend money, or you gotta, the what is it, the grind mentality. Oh, I always gotta work, I always gotta, have a bag so I can get this and I can get that. And I'm gonna be honest with y'all. I don't think anybody on this panel is a parent of just one child. But the mentality to only have one and two kids, so that you can buy them everything that they want and spoil, that has to stop. That it really needs to stop. Because what I think, okay, I'm gonna say this. Listen, y'all know how when we speak of the older generation, it's all this negative stuff. Oh, they had so many kids and couldn't take care. Those children, first of all, one, I know for sure one of them is on this panel and one is in the bushes. Those children know how to take care of themselves and other people.
Yes, yes, that
Okay.
generation grew to be some of
And
the best people. Yup.
real, when I tell you those people, and I had a moment like that where somebody was feeding me that, oh, you having too many kids. I went through like this whole little thing, but now that I'm looking at it, it's like God doesn't want any of us to be selfish, and He also don't want us to have all the things of the world that we want and need, because we need to be wanting and needing Him for everything. And I'm not coming at nobody for having one kid. I'm just trying to get y'all to look at it a different way. I'm not saying go out and have a bunch of kids, right? And can't take care of them. But what I'm saying is that those children know responsibility, and that's a lot of what this generation lacks. And the our children are lacking responsibility. It's all about them. It's all about what they want on their time. A lot of only children have the youngest child mentality, and the youngest child usually be the least responsible. It's the older sibling and things like that. But it's like a lot of these kids are being raised, don't get me wrong, in beautiful ways. They are experiencing vacations and things that their parents didn't have. But we also have to teach our kids responsibility, because life is not just about vacations and things. you know, it's not just about being able to get what you want at the drop of a dime at any point in time and second. And even though I have four children, my mother will tell you I was spoiling the mess out of all four of my kids, especially my oldest, buying her things that she really didn't even need at 6 years old because of social media and you know all of this. Give the kids whatever they want, and it's like no, that
He's spoiling them and ruining them.
mentality. Exactly. That mentality is what also is raising adults who are selfish and don't can't deal with inconveniences, can't deal with things that are not about them, can't function outside of me. So, this ain't about, bashing parents with one kid or two kid. It's not that. But I'm just saying we have to stop looking at the older generation as, oh, they were just so poor and so this and
No,
that.
those were some
They
of the Vaughn. Those were some of the
some of the
greatest people.
greatest
If we
people
look at
on
our
the panel.
grandparents and great
Yes,
grandparents and the stuff that they gone through, and coming from families of 8 to 15 to 20 children, right? That
yes,
50s, 60s, and 70s, those were some of the most sternful, God-fearing, hardworking people who gave you the best wisdom, who held it together. And then the grandmothers who were the liaisons and the grandfathers who worked out. That was one of the best generations, and look where they came from. So I get what you're saying. I can agree.
yes. They know how to help other people, and not just help other people, but like I said, most importantly, take care of themselves. And they had to learn how to take care of themselves and other people, because while mama and daddy was out being responsible, working on the field or working at the warehouse or whatever, they was at home caring for their younger siblings and cousins. And it wasn't just them by themselves, it was all the kids in the house had jobs and things to do. So that's just what I've been looking at, you know as far as Because like I said, when we talk about the older generation, it comes with a lot of negative stuff. But if you ask me, the morals and the values that the older generation has, our generation and our children's generation lacks.
I think also I know you can look at both the positive and the
I can't
negative, and you
hear.
can learn. You can't hear me? Oh, she'll be back. You can look at the positive and the negative when it comes to older generations and how they raise their kids. A lot of times they raise their kids. Well, they had so many kids because they didn't have birth control, for one thing. And then a lot of times the husband would go out and work, but a lot of times he would also have multiple families, and the women knew about it. They just accepted it. And a lot of times I know the generation before me, my aunts and stuff, I've heard them say, oh, a man is going to be a man. And so they just simply accept whatever that man dishes out, they take it. And that's why a lot of times you did see those families stand together, because I believe a lot of women in particular were miserable, but they chose to stay because that was the only thing they knew. And you have to realize that I believe it was back in, was it, I'm not sure of when women um, got the right to vote. I can't even call it out now, but it wasn't that long ago when women were starting to get rights, and when women started to get more rights. And some people say it's a bad thing and some say it's a good thing, but when women started getting more rights, they started opening their eyes and realizing that they didn't have to take all the stuff that was being dished out on them. Some of them were abused and they stayed because that's all they knew, because their um their parents or adults before them told them that a man is going to be a man, and you just have to stick with it, you just have to hang in there. And women these days, they're like, no, I'm not doing that. Now there's sometimes when there are petty things and women would say, oh, I'm not taking that. That's because I think that a lot of times people in general, they don't take marriage seriously, and they don't really stick to their vows. I don't believe anybody who's being abused should stay in a relationship
Right.
at all. I
Right.
totally don't agree with that. But sometimes a man can leave his he can leave his dirty clothes in the middle of the floor and the woman's ready to leave. Simple things like that. I think that you have to accept none of us are perfect. Men aren't perfect, women aren't perfect. But if we work together, we can have a the perfect relationship for us. Not to say that we're going to be perfect, but it's a perfect relationship for us. It's give and take.
Hmm.
Right. And
Yeah,
Brick City, how fucking you ever said nothing? But go ahead, Vaughn.
no, I was gonna say, Miss Alice, that's what I mean when I say the negative stuff when we talk about the older generation, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like we all know, us women, we had to deal with certain things. But the morals and the values that y'all had, about, not family. What was it? It was like God, family, and football. Now I think that's like the South, thing. I heard that somewhere, yeah, I can't remember. But it's there was an order, you know. There was the mom, I mean, there was the dad, he went out and he may have had a bunch of different families, Miss Alice. But unlike these young men today, okay, who got a bunch of different women and a bunch of different kids, they don't know their kids, they don't take care of their kids, there's a difference in a lot of things that I think our generation can really take y'all's morals and values and just a little bit of y'all pride. Like y'all had a pride about y'all selves. you know, when it came to what it was to be a man and a woman, a black man and a black woman, and not just, you know, black people, but I can't remember if we not allowed to say certain stuff, but all people. There was morals and values that y'all had that we lack today, especially when it comes to family. You know, oh, you know, now it's, oh, I'm not going, you know, just because they older than me don't mean, but there's so many things that y'all did right that, in my opinion, don't get enough light shined on it.
Mm-hmm.
And the first thing, and I get it, you know, they didn't have birth control back then, but Miss Alice, they try to make it like women, and I only have 4 kids, right? But it's
Yeah.
women out here with 10 and 12 children, Miss Alice, doing way better than me, way better. And I applaud them because I'm tired with my 4. But it's like they try to make it like if you have a husband or if you are single and you have a bunch of children, or you know, if you know a man is doing what he's supposed, it's like there's all this negative things attached to it, as if the generation before us didn't have some really good tools and guidelines to really keep our sanity and have some type of pride about ourselves. Just because you have a bunch of kids don't mean you got to be trifling. Just because you're a man and you got different families don't mean that you don't take care of your children. You understand what I'm saying? It's
Uh-huh.
like it's just a bunch of, you know, excuse me, but triflingness, in my opinion, laziness, a bunch of excuses. That's just, you know, the generation before us, y'all didn't have excuses. Y'all wasn't trifling, you know. Y'all had pride in, I'm gonna take care of what's mine and I'm gonna do right by what's mine, regardless. I'm gonna make a way, you know.
Yeah, can I
Yeah.
agree with you on that? Just real quick, I'm gonna say this one thing. Yes, I agree because now I do notice that the men back in the day, even if they did have other families and multiple babies or baby mamas, versus today, I did notice that they at least did take care of those families. So if he had a woman
Mm-hmm.
over here with kids and a woman over here, and I've seen that a lot down south, they would take care of them. Versus now, people just, oh, I'm having a baby, I just got a baby mama, and now the kid, I ain't mine, and even they find
Yep.
out it is theirs, I ain't taking care of that. And who's the next one? And I see the difference. But go ahead.
Yeah, that's all I'm trying to say. You know, like I said, no disrespect to anybody and their family size, because you know, like I said, I have 4 kids, and people look at me like I have 12, but I see women with 12 and 10 children, way better lifestyles than mine, and it's like, you know, the things that people will try to put on us as just people, and then you see that there's possibilities outside of, you know, what you were told or what you're used to seeing. I'm like, that's what this generation needs. You know, we need that pride, we need that structure, the discipline. We need all of that. But you know, like I said, there's like a gap or something missing.
Yeah, you're accentuating the positive, and we can appreciate that. Let me read some of these start comments. There's a few in here. So Blaze said, unfortunately, yes, there's a lot of men out here who are suffering in silence. I was one of them. During my therapy sessions years ago, I learned that you can't heal in silence. Amen. That is a fact. You cannot heal in silence. Charlie's Angel said, we all have a responsibility to one another to love better than we have. That's true. And then Joe says, I think Vaughn was speaking on a much higher level or circle of life for future generations. There won't be future generations other than robots. And Blaze says, oh, yeah, let me see what Blaze says. Blaze says, I used to bury the pain in hopes that everything will eventually go away. But I found out the hard way that what I buried wouldn't stay buried because I chose to not acknowledge it and face it. Thank you for sharing. He was trying to come on the panel, y'all, but something happened where he wasn't able to. Joe's saying that women's rights to vote was ratified on August 18th, 1920. The 19th Amendment granted women the right to vote. So that really, it was still less than 100 years ago, when women got the right to vote. But also in the 19, I think it was in 1970 something, early 1970s, when women could get credit cards in their name. So, and that definitely wasn't that long ago. Even though I was a kid then, it still wasn't that long ago. But I want to thank you all for joining this conversation, and I want to encourage us to not just not just wait until a certain month when it's awareness of things like, for instance, Black history should be learned all year round. Black history really is American history and should be taught in schools, but unfortunately, we know how it is where they're actually taking away things instead of encouraging people to learn all American history. They only want you to know certain parts, and they want
Yes.
to sugarcoat what really happened. But we have to do our own research and learn all year round. As far as mental health awareness, I know last month in May, that was just mental health awareness in general. And this month is men's mental health awareness. I believe that this is a conversation that we should be having all the time, because there are people out here that are hurting. And I know that somebody said that men have to take accountability. But sometimes, if you don't recognize that there is something wrong, you can't fix what you don't know is wrong. And a lot of times it's passed down, where if you saw something in your household, that's all you know. And that's what you, when you have a family, you do the same things. And so I believe that, of course, we should definitely keep God first. You know, if you don't believe in God, I don't know what to tell you, but you're still welcome here. Make no mistakes. Everybody is welcome here. As long as you're respectful, you are welcome here. But I know for myself, I don't believe that my husband and I would be married for 37 years had we not put God first in our marriage and in our lives individually and as a couple. So I most definitely agree with putting God first in all things and keeping him first. Um, I would also say that we definitely may, sometimes it takes someone from the outside. Say, like, sometimes I'm praying for people and they don't realize that I'm praying for them. But sometimes, if we see, a lot of times we want to condemn people for what they're doing, especially if we think they're doing something wrong. But if you see something, you see that somebody needs help or whatever, I suggest, if you are a person who believes in God, pray for that person instead of always putting that person down, because you don't know what kind of environment they may have come from, and they may have learned some things that they have to unlearn. But once you realize that you have a problem, thank you, Blaze, for sharing that. Once you realize that you need help, it behooves all of us to get the help that we need. So that's what I have to say. Do y'all have anything you want to add?
Nope.
Just thanks again for a great panel, great topic. It was really, really good show today.
Thank you, Brick, and you're always
Thanks, Britt.
welcome to come here. This is a safe space.
I just wanted to say, Miss Alice, I hope I ain't work your nerves too much, because like I said, I had a whole bunch of much to say. I like talk about it Tuesdays. I think a lot of what we talked about, interesting enough, had something to do with some of the things I've been thinking about. And I hope everybody enjoyed themselves. I did. I hope nothing I said offended anybody, because I listen, I just be thinking and talking, okay? But yeah, I do believe that men's mental health does matter. Um I wanted Miss Alice to ask me a question, but I think she forgot about it. A couple months ago, long time ago,
Uh-huh.
uh, what's funny is I think this was about a year ago when I had this discussion on my channel that sparked the whole YouTube streets in a frenzy.
Okay.
Is it okay for men to cry? And I was
Uh-huh.
like, heck no, crying men. And
I remember
I
that.
went to you remember that reel?
I
Yeah,
remember.
you was
I
like, that
And
would turn
remember.
me off. Like, if I have to go, go ahead, me. I
you
remember.
know, I was I'm gonna say this. A couple of days ago, a video of mine popped up that I did that y'all I had to put on private because I was like, "Ooh, Lord, ooh, child." Um, I think it's good to keep social media around for things like this because you can go back and look at yourself. And a short couple of months, okay, like I said, it's about this last year around this time, y'all. I had a totally different perspective. And all jokes aside, I'm being so serious when I say I was coming from an unhealed place. I did seek wise counsel, as real and Miss Alice know, I had just got saved. And my grandmother, she thought it was, hilarious. She like, girl, Jesus wept. Like, what do you mean? Is it okay for men to cry?
Absolutely.
But I was coming from a sincere place of, and I was even using my husband as reference because, now that I know, he was unhealed. My husband never cried, unless somebody passed away. And I'm not going to tell his business or nothing like that, but my husband is healed and he's on a spiritual journey in the Lord. And things have been happening in our relationship, and I have a change of heart because I, myself have healed, places inside of me that I didn't know was broken. So when I say, holding women accountable, I am grateful for all the women in my life, Miss Alice. I said what I said, my mom, Joe. I think Joe was, like, yeah, it's okay for men to cry. Um, but I'm grateful for, the women in my life who held me accountable. My mom, especially, she kept encouraging me, therapy, prayer, seeking God. So my heart could not be so hard. And if you are a woman and you listening, in the bushes on a replay, do not feel attacked because I know that's how, but that's them spirits, that don't want to leave you, um
Mm-hmm.
go to God and ask him for help. He will help you when you're sincere. And see, for me, it was at the time, I had such a kick out of it. I'm like, man, men shouldn't cry, but the Lord really did reveal things to me in myself and about men, that we're all human, flesh and blood, and we are
Yeah.
his children and his creatures, and we need to care for one another and allow each other to be human. So that's all yes, it's okay for men to cry. It is. Now it ain't
Yeah.
okay for you to be no blubbery fool. That's when you need to go seek the Lord. Okay.
Anybody that's man or woman shouldn't be crying all the time.
Yeah,
But
Stupid.
yeah. No, nobody should be crying all the time.
but men who don't express their emotions tend to be abusive because they just
Yes.
lash out.
That's
And
true.
like Tina was saying that, sometimes you can tell that a man is dealing with, he's suffering. He thinks he's suffering in silence, but you can tell by some of the little things that a man does, you can tell that something's not right. And if you can't approach that man, just pray for him. Because like Ron is saying, and she may not have said it like this, but God can do anything. He can change anybody. So I'm going to read these star comments, y'all. I know
Do
Real
y'all think
probably
I'm
has something
suffering?
else to
Do y'all
say.
think I'm suffering in silence since y'all women's intuition is so all great and so up there?
Uh,
Answer the
A,
question.
a little piece,
Real,
a little piece at times.
Let
Yeah.
me read these star comments first, and then I'll come back. Okay. So, Blaze
Yo,
says the day finally came when I decided to speak up and not shut down. Believe me when I say that talking is real healing and feeling is real strength, straight like that. And then Blaze also said, all the pain and the anger and the frustration started to show up in my everyday habits. How I treated people and in my health. I didn't recognize myself anymore. I hated myself. That's powerful. If more men admitted that, I think we could make some changes. Lovelace says, gotta check on each other. It matters and it can help. So true. So that's it for the star comments, y'all. Go ahead and say what you have to say.
I got one more thing to say, bro. I owe you an apology.
Oh
um,
my.
No,
who
I
me?
do, Shanice, because no, not real.
Oh,
Because bro got on the panel and he was like, he was like, no, I don't see, he was on
Oh,
my side,
she's
but
talking
he
about
was,
SBK, y'all.
yeah, he was on my side, y'all. When it came, you ain't no blubbering fools around here, okay? But as far as being emotional and stuff, as me, and he was like, it's okay. And I came at him crazy. I was like, don't you come up here, with your man stuff or something. I don't know what I said, y'all, but I'm sorry, bro.
ooh.
It was a lot happening in that
Ooh,
live
wait.
that day. And then, he had a live later and I was standing my ground, like, and when I tell y'all my whole family, like all of my grandparents, my mama called all my grandparents, y'all. She like, yo, y'all, she need help. And I'm
Oh,
like,
you got in trouble. You got a stern talking to. Oh, I like
Shanice,
that. I
my
know all
grandfather
about
was
you.
like, yo, my grandfather, my grandma, they like Jesus wept, Kevon. Like, and I'm like, yeah, but it was a reason he was crying. He's crying for the sins of the world. That's when they like, so what you trying to say? So, I really have changed, y'all. In fact, I'm amazed myself. But like I said, it takes working on yourself. If needed, therapy, self accountability, because it's another thing for others to hold you accountable, but you have to be accepting of yourself and willing to change. And, so I'm not just up here, putting on a show. If you was there that day, you remember I was a hot mess. Okay.
I
But I'm
remember.
changing. Miss
Yeah,
Alice.
yeah. Yeah, I watched from the bushes, but I was there. Yes. Hmm. And like Joe
Hot
just
mess.
said, she was 10 toes down. Joe said you was 10 toes down, honey.
She, Blaze says,
I have
from one black
changed.
man to another, you can win the battles. You can win the battles you don't talk about, and you are allowed to ask for help. I'm thinking he said you
You
can't.
can't.
Yeah, you can't
Okay,
win
sir.
the battles you don't
Okay. Read it
talk
again. Read it again.
from from one black man to another. You can't win the battles you don't talk about, and you are allowed to ask for help. There's room for you to exhale. All right now. Um, Brick City says, I don't mind crying, but I'd rather be a comforter.
Facts.
Okay. All right, y'all. So we've been here for a while, y'all. We've been here 2.5 hours.
We went
I
over
appreciate
today,
y'all.
Miss Alice.
I know.
Oh, snap.
I figured we would be a little longer because this is, something that we really should talk about more.
Right. Thank you, ladies, for helping me with my mental status this afternoon. I am now fixed, complete, and ready for action. Thank you.
Oh,
Oh,
no
thank you.
problem. Our pleasure.
Yes,
Amen.
great live, Miss Alice. Because last year Vaughn couldn't have made it up here. I'd have been mad as hot as fish grease in the chat. Oh, there y'all go blaming us. What we need to be accountable for? It's the men. But I have changed, y'all. I have been
Mhm.
delivered.
See, look at God.
Okay.
Look at
Hallelujah. Yes,
God.
I have been delivered.
Yes.
Whew,
Yes.
don't make me shout. I was up here getting teary eyed. Vaughn, you a whole different woman. Oh, it's so beautiful to hear and see. I'm telling you. God bless you. You know I'm proud of you. My prayers have been answered. Thank you, Jesus. Hallelujah.
See
Thank
y'all
you,
down in
God,
the
Jesus, and the
comments.
Holy Spirit. Ask Mama Alice. I pray for you in real life. I ain't playing. Serious. Mm-hmm. Proud of her.
So thanks to everybody who joined the panel. Thanks, Vaughn. Thanks, Real. Thanks, Brick City. Thanks, Shanice. Thanks, Tina Mo Show. I know Blaze wasn't able to say anything, but thanks, Blaze. Thanks. I said what I said. Did I miss anybody, y'all?
Miss Tina? Well, I came in
I
late,
said
so
Tina. I said Tina. Yeah, I think I got everybody. If I miss anybody, please charge it to my head and not my heart. I appreciate each and every person who came to the panel and expressed their opinions on the matter. I also appreciate everybody who participated in the chat. And I appreciate everybody who may have watched from the bushes and did not say anything for whatever reason it was. I do appreciate you. But um, let me shout out everybody who I saw in the chat or on a panel. So Joe, Shanice, Tina, Janice, Vaughn, Senna, Real, Charlie's Angels, I Said What I Said, Lovelace, Sirius S, Blaze, V, Brick City, Candy K, SBK, Urban, Miss Buckeye, and Coco. I hope that I didn't miss anybody, but you guys know that I truly do appreciate all of you. And thank you so much because I was live yesterday and I don't usually do uh, lives days in a row. So thank you, especially to the ones that were here yesterday and came back today. I appreciate you all. I love you all. You know, I always say God loves you even more than I do, and I really do love you all. Continue to be blessed and continue to be a blessing. As I told you yesterday, I won't be live again until next Thursday. I will be going out of town, but I may do a video. I may share a video on Monday, maybe a premiere. I'm not sure yet, but stay tuned. Also, if you haven't watched the playlist that I have, feel free to do so to help with the watch time hours or even to get some encouragement because there are some people who come here and they give some real good comments and good words of wisdom. So thank you, Lovelace. Thank you all. Blaze says, please, he says, wait, let me go back to the other comment where he says, thanks, mother-in-law. Thank you, mother in law, for the live stream. And thank you to everyone for coming through and contributing to the topic. Much love and respect to all of you. Again, thank you all. I truly do love and appreciate you all. You just don't know. I look forward to the next live, y'all. I don't know what it's going to be about, but I pray that God really, works on me. And sometimes when I'm talking, he's talking to me through me. So don't think that I'm picking on anyone because I'm not perfect and there are definitely some things that I need to work on as well. With that said, thanks again to everybody who may be watching the replay. I hope that you get something out of this live and feel free to share it with someone else who may need to hear some encouraging words, especially to our men who may still be suffering in silence. It's okay, y'all, to talk to somebody. It's okay to get help when you realize that you need help. And of course, God can do anything. And sometimes, a lot of times, He chooses to use other people when He does His work. He does His best work often through other people who are there to help you. I believe we are surrounded by angels in disguise. Most definitely. City. With that said, we are getting ready to get out of here. Y'all continue to be blessed. And more importantly, again, continue to be a blessing to someone else. Make sure this is about men's mental health, but whether you're a man or a woman, please make sure that you take care of your mental health, because if you don't heal, you may bleed on others who have nothing to do with your illness. All right, you guys take care, and we will talk again soon if the Lord says so.